Welcome, everybody, to today's Building My Legacy podcast. I have with me today Jim Kukral. Jim is fascinating because he has 20 plus years of experience as an executive doing web design and marketing for companies. So he's a big marketing person. But then he had a life experience that shifted his direction and changed where he is focused. And so, Jim, I want you to tell your story. I want to have people get a flavor of what it is that you were doing, and then what happened and how that has shifted you.
Well, Lois, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here on your amazing podcast, which I'm a big fan of. And yeah, I'm going to be 50 years old this year, and I spent the last 25 years of my career owning businesses and doing marketing and writing books and speaking about entrepreneurship. And I threw that all away, Lois. I mean, I literally threw it all in the trash can in the last 6 months because I wanted to do something different because of an event, which what we'll talk about today that happened to me. That's many people have had, and everyone goes through some type of these types of events, but that's my background. I've spoken all over the world. I've written books, and the pandemic and cancer diagnosis really changed things for me. And I personally believe, Lois, that the pandemic created the greatest shift in mindset in human history, not just physical, but mental, spiritual, financial. It hit everybody across the world, across the board on multiple levels. And I firmly believe that it is hyper accelerated the mindset of people moving forward today, not just people of lower incomes, but higher, everybody across the board. And that's part of what we'll talk about today, because I think people are thinking differently now.
That's interesting that you say that because you're absolutely right. The pandemic is global. It didn't just affect one country, it affected everybody. And everybody has their stories about the pandemic. Think of the children who have their stories about what the pandemic was all about. And their perspective on how they make choices has also been influenced by that. So share with us, Jim, what the experience of the pandemic was, and then of your cancer diagnosis.
Well, let's talk about this from a story. Okay, so
Okay.
if you're
Love
listening to
stories.
this, if you're listening to this and you're in the car, I don't want you to close your eyes, but everybody else, close your eyes for a minute or two. And I want you to picture your life from beginning birth to death. And I want you to think about it. And in your mind, you probably view that line as a straight line from birth to death, right? Most people view their lives in that manner, right? It's just how human beings think about how to move forward. The problem with that is it's completely wrong, right?
Mhm.
It is a fallacy. It is what stops most people from fulfilling their dreams, from moving forward, because that's not the reality. The reality is that your life is a squiggly, turny, twisty, up and down, back and forth mess of a million different things that happen to you over that time. And because a lot of us, myself, for 48 years, 49 years of my life, slept walk through most of my life, right? Really doing it for my family, creating a career. And I certainly did some amazing things, but really just having perspective on moving forward. And I call these events life apocalyptic events. Okay. So Life Apocalypse is the brand that I have. And when you look at the word meaning of the word apocalypse, Lois, it means revelation. But in our vernacular and human beings, we tend to look at the word apocalypse and think zombies, right? Or the end of the world. But really, the core root meaning of the word is revelation. So when you have an apocalyptic event, you are essentially just having a revelation on something, whether that's good or bad moving forward. So a life apocalypse is simply an important transitional moment in your life that's usually not self-imposed, that greatly affects how your life moves forward. So think of that line again. It's not straight from birth to death. It's going all over the place. Each one of those dips and valleys that or go on it is something that happened to you, your first kiss, or your getting that job you want, or getting fired, or getting divorced, or getting a cancer diagnosis, or some kind of terminal illness. So what I strive to do is help people understand that these moments happen and how to harness them, which is, how do you take traumatic stress, something that happened to your life, and turn that into a growth opportunity. And it's, people have been doing this forever, talking about it, but I think the way that I explain it is very useful to people, especially after the global pandemic. So that's what I'm trying to do. In my cancer diagnosis last year, I'm fine. I caught it early and I was very lucky, but it definitely changed my entire being. And I retired from marketing. I threw all that away. I don't know how many people you've met who have ever done that, but I threw away 25 years of a career just to focus on something else. So I'm eating my own dog food, I guess you would say.
Your own dog food. So tell us that story. How did the pandemic change you? How did the cancer diagnosis change you? And what are the lessons that you learned?
Yeah. So, everybody, first of all, millions and millions of people have had cancer diagnosis, and this is not anything special. People have this every single day, and I'm no different than anyone else. But it is truly a surreal moment to have that doctor tell you and put an actual mortality rate on your life, right? When somebody puts an actual number on it and says, look, if you do this treatment, you've all got a 85% chance of not passing in the next 6 months. That is a complete mindset shift. Combine that with the global pandemic. I got diagnosed in August of 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. So between the pandemic, already in a midlife crisis, and the cancer diagnosis, it pushed me over the edge. And I believe that life apocalypse is about taking a journey across your mindset, worrying about thinking about your lifestyle moving forward, how you create an impact on the world, not just to your family and the people around you, but to the world. And frankly, what you talk a lot about, Lois, which you do so great at doing and coaching and consulting people on, is building a legacy and a purpose in your life, right? Or your career. So I'm more of a person who takes people on a journey, you know, when you think about how you get from here to here, and I help people figure out where they want to take their lives. And those are the four core components to the life apocalypse.
Okay, so I think there are a lot of people, Jim, who are asking those very, very important questions. Now what? Look at what we've just gone through. Now what? What do I control? And what do I want my life to be? So, in this life apocalypse that you talk about, what's the journey? What's the process? What's the road that you take them on?
Well, yeah, I mean, 25 years I've been building online businesses, and I've always had a business model and a goal. I don't have one here. You're really talking to a free man here. I retired. I do these podcasts and I talk to people because I like to do it. And so what I'm trying to do is have a conversation with other people like me who are in the same mindset space and they want to move forward. I mean, the pandemic hyper accelerated what people were already starting to accomplish in their lives, which was, I don't want to deal with people that are toxic. I don't want to go to work for bosses I don't like anymore. Um, the pandemic accelerated that, right? They said, I don't need to go back to work to deal with this environment anymore. I'd go work at a gas station, right? I'll be, as long as I'm happy. So that's where I come in with the mindset shift. So the first part of this whole journey is a mindset shift. And that's exactly where you start on a journey like this. And a lot of us have already gotten there. If you look at the statistics in the articles on Facebook and social media and everywhere you see, you will see that people don't want to go back to their jobs, and they don't they're more worried about this than this. They're leaving the cities, they're going to places, rural areas, because they just want to. So the mindset shift is already happening. The problem with action in life is most people only think about doing things and they don't take action
Mm.
until there becomes a really high level pain point. I always said the pain point is what gets people to move, right? Like, I really dislike my job, but it's only at a 5, right? When you go to the hospital and you got a kidney stone and they ask you what your pain level is on a scale of 1 to 10, if you say 11, that's pretty bad. But if you say 5, you could probably tolerate that. So life is very much just like that. You will take action as long as the pain level is high enough. So the first step is mindset.
Okay, so mindset. And is there a process you walk people through to help them shift their mindset, or because pain alone doesn't shift you, you need a way to change it. So how do you do that?
Yeah. So yeah, I've got a free little text-based course at lifeapoc.com that people can take. It's a 4-day challenge that kind of gets them into those steps for mindset, lifestyle, impact, and purpose.
Okay, perfect.
And it's very simple to really start thinking about how to move forward. Um, I was reading your bio on your website, and you have a Japanese background. And there's a term in Japanese, and I probably pronounce it incorrectly. Maybe you'll tell me. It's called ikagi,
Uh-huh.
and it means the art of moving forward in small steps. I think is probably a bad definition of it.
Ikage. Uh-huh.
How is it? Ikagi?
Ikage. Uh-huh.
Ikage. Okay. So I've never actually heard it pronounced. So I'm learning something today. But the basic concept of moving forward in anything that you do is taking those small steps. So a little bit of improvement every single day. So the first step to the journey to having your very own life apocalypse is getting your mind right. And one of the examples I use is a scene from the movie Fight Club, where Brad Pitt, the character, is holding a gun to a man's head and telling him, "What did you always want to do with your life?" And he said, "I always wanted to be a veterinarian." He goes, "Well, why are you working in this convenience store?" And he said, "Well, I just thought I had to." And he said, "Well, if you're not uh, on your way to becoming a veterinarian in 3 weeks, I have your ID. I'm going to come and find you and kill you." And the story is basically, and it's a very cruel and violent way to make a point, but the point is sometimes you need to have a gun to your head to move forward, right? When that pain level gets high enough. And a lot of people don't get there mentally. So sometimes you need to have it shocked in like that and think about really where you want to go. And a lot of people don't move forward because they just don't believe. And fear, of course, is a big one. And that's actually the second lesson, which is fear about lifestyle.
Fear about lifestyle. So what are the fears? What fears did you have to overcome?
Well, listen, I'm the breadwinner for my family. My wife made more money than me 20 years ago. She was a high level ad executive. But when we decided to have a family, she decided she wanted to stay at home. And I love that. That's fine. But I had to immediately become the breadwinner of the family. So for the past 20 years, that's what I've been doing. I, go to work and I bring home the bacon, and I'm fine with that. And I'm grateful that my wife was able to do that for the children. But there's a lot of fear there of, being an entrepreneur. You don't know where the next paycheck is coming, and a lot of hustle involved, as you know. And there's a lot of fear there. But what it does is it stops you from building the lifestyle that you want to have. And people are so afraid that it's not possible, but it really is, especially in today's world. I mean, I wrote a book years ago called Business Around a Lifestyle.
Ah,
And the basic concept is you design the lifestyle first and then build the business around it. Everyone remembers Tim Ferriss and the 4-Hour Work Week, right? Kind of a disingenuous book, but we get the point. You can automate and outsource and build a business. You don't have to work so hard anymore in the global economy. You can find ways to work smarter. Okay. it's now more true than ever. It gets easier every day with the technology and the resources that we all have, but fear still holds us back from moving forward. Um, However, again, the pandemic took the pain level from 5 to 10 for a lot of people. And a lot of people who were scared to leave their job or start their own business, um, after the pandemic, they were like, I'm going to take that chance now. It really accelerated a lot of people into action. Now they need to figure out how to follow through.
How to do it. Yeah. So what's number 3? Fear. We've got
Well,
mindset, fear.
so I actually have this tattooed on my arm. You can't see it, but mindset, impact, uh, lifestyle, impact, purpose, and family. That's actually tattooed on my wrist.
Wow.
So I
Okay.
believe in this. Okay. And the third one is impact. Okay. Which is most people feel that they want to do more. They just don't know how. They don't know how to start. And I'm talking about creating an impact on the world around you, not just for your family and not just for your friends and associates, but really for helping other people. Most people are good people. Most people want to help other people. That's the truth about the world. The media likes to divide us and lots of other reasons that divide us. But at the end of the day, people really do want to help people and they want to create an impact. They just don't know how. They don't know how to get started. So the challenge here is to really just figure out what means a lot to you, right? And then decide to take that first step moving forward to actually doing that. Like, for example, it might be a socially conscious business you might start, or supporting a brand that has the same beliefs as you. You know, those are called belief driven buyers. You know, people who want to support brands that share the same beliefs as them. By the way, that's 66% of all consumers. They
Shares.
care.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
They want to do business with people who share their same beliefs in this tribalized world we're in, right? So that's where the trend is going. So how do you figure out what impact to create in your world? It's a very tough thing to do. The first step to do is sit down and figure out really what kind of impact you want to create and find a cause that maybe you can get behind and then actually take some action. And I want to be really clear here. Creating an impact is not, I mean, making a donation to a charity, which is a great thing to do, and everyone should decide to do that if they'd like to. Creating an impact is actually going and helping in a bigger way, or creating a business that helps, or it's not taking a portion of your profits and giving it to, a homeless shelter or something. That's a great thing to do, but it is really not creating a true impact in your life. And at the end of the day, the impact you want to create is for yourself. You want to feel satisfied in this world. You want to feel like you've actually done something more. And this is another hyper accelerated thing that the pandemic had, is people spend a lot of time at home thinking about where they want their lives to go, what do they want to do. And I think there are some good things that came out of a global pandemic, which was a lot of introspective thought about where I want to be and what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I think that's going to be a benefit moving forward.
Introspection has been good. It needs to be focused, doesn't it? So
Right.
that it doesn't become just a introversion that's in doesn't create action. So impact, and then the last one is lifestyle. Is that
No, the
correct?
second one was lifestyle. The last one is purpose.
Purpose. Okay. Well,
Purpose. And
that
this is
one,
where we get into your realm. Okay. So legacy can be defined by so many different things. In a business context, it could be how successful you are, or whatever your company has done. Um, but it can also be defined as simple things. Like, I work with a lot of dads. I talk to a lot of family men, and you know what they tell me? They
no,
say, they say, you know what legacy means to me, Jim? It means when I'm dead, my children are going to go, remember how awesome dad was?
yeah.
Remember that dad did this for us, right? That's what a legacy means, right, in a different context than a business form. When mom goes and the daughter who fought with her when they were a teenager and she's gone and they say, wow, remember how amazing mom was? And mom used to do this for me. Um, that's what people think about. What do you think people think of most when they have 30 seconds left to live, right? It's a facetious question, but first of all, they're thinking, I wish I had more time, right? But what they're really thinking is what impact did I create on this world? What legacy? I'm not talking about fancy cabins in the woods and guest houses and money. What impact and legacy did I leave on my family, on this planet, on my friends, on everything that I did? That's what people think about in the last moments of their lives, not about their Ferraris, not about how they worked 80 hours a week, right? And when you think about it from that perspective, it really changes how you want to move forward with your life and your career, in my opinion. Um, so that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to help people think about those things so that they can decide where they want to move forward to.
So, Jim, what you're talking about, I think, is what a lot of people are looking for and wanting. What stops them?
Well, yeah, the fear is the biggest one, the obligations. But again, if you're listening to this or you're watching this, I got news for you. The world could end any day. 9/11 was a terrible, terrible tragedy, but it didn't affect everybody like the global pandemic did. This hit everybody outside of that city. I mean, this hit people who live everywhere around the world. This could happen again. And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But how long are you gonna wait to actually take action and move forward and really start thinking differently? Take those small steps to want to improve your life. I mean, I talk to a lot of people every single day. I love to have conversations with people about these things. And the common theme is exactly what I'm saying here is I no longer want to be in healthcare because it's just terrible. I can't take it any longer. I no longer want to be in law enforcement. I can't handle it any longer. I no longer want to do this or this or this. Um, I'd be happy working at Chipotle if they offered benefits. So um, there is a lot of action taking that's happening right now, but people are still fearful of moving forward with that, and that's probably the biggest thing.
Okay, so what stops people is fear,
Yeah.
and yet there's a lot of opportunity out there. Part of me, you shifted because of an incredible experience. And what will really move people to begin to ask the questions that you're asking, to
Mhm.
come and have a discussion with a person like you, for example?
Well, I'm a firm believer that everybody is ready to make a change when they're mentally ready to make it. For
Okay.
example, you will not quit smoking or drinking until you're mentally ready to do it. Your brain, something in your brain has to shift. And I don't care what anyone says to you, you know, you're not going to make it happen until your brain tells you it's okay to make that switch. Maybe that's your life cycle, maybe it's predetermined destiny to I don't know what it is. I'm not but that's the biggest thing. Is your brain has to be ready to move forward. In order to make those decisions, it has to be inspired. You have to start believing in the possibilities. You have to believe that a better lifestyle is possible. You have to believe that you can have a better mindset. You have to believe that it's possible to create an impact and leave a legacy. But most people don't believe it because of that straight line syndrome that we talked about in the beginning. My life starts here and it ends here, and I'm not allowed. It's going to be boring, predictable, and nothing in between is going to make these things happen. Guess what? That's wrong. It's just so wrong. It's going to happen. It may not happen to you till you're 50 like me, but it may happen to you when you're 4 years old. But it's going to happen to you at some point. And you got to take action on it when it does happen.
Got to take action. I love that, Jim. So our time is almost up, and I'm sorry for that. What have we missed that is really important for our audience to know?
Well, I really think that everybody needs to understand that the shift is happening all around you, and you may not even realize it yet, but it is happening with you as well. There are some people who haven't been affected by all this, and but if you look around and you just look at the world around you, you will see that we've become more distracted than ever. We've become um, the attention thing. We haven't lost our attention spans. We've become really good at deciding what we want to pay attention to.
Uh,
Right? That's the difference. It's not like we just decide and focus what we want to pay attention to. And what's happening is people are focusing on how to move forward now. Because if you look at anytime throughout history, you'll see that after some type of tragedy or thing that happened, especially in this country, but in general in history, there's always a boom afterwards, right? And there's a new way of people that think, and a new energy that moves forward. And I think we're at that moment right now. So if you're interested in taking that text-based challenge, you can go to my website. It's lifeapoc.com,
APOC,
and
please spell that.
APOC. So LIFEAPOC.com. Just the first part of apocalypse. And you can sign up, and I don't have anything to sell you. And I don't have anything to coach you with. I would just like to inspire you. So please head on over and let me know what you think.
You know what, Jim? I think that's what people are looking for. How do I get inspired? How does my life take on a new sense of meaning and purpose, especially after all of what we've gone through? So, what a gift that you give to people and to the people that you will be talking with. Thank you so much for being with us on Building My Legacy podcast today. And for those of you who are listening, thank you for being with us. Please remember to also visit our website at buildtomorrow.com with a number 2. So build2tomorrow.com. Jim, thanks so much for your time.
You are welcome. It's my pleasure to be here. And I'm a big fan. And thank you so much for your time as well.
You are so welcome. Thank you for watching my video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell button above. Leave comments. We'd love to hear what you think. And visit our other social media links as well. Thanks much.